We are live, ladies and gentlemen. The WWE draft is starting tomorrow. Who is going to be the number one draft pick? Who will go between Raw and SmackDown? Will there be NXT call-ups? Well, if you've been watching this channel for the last few weeks, you will see that I've given my predictions. I've given the take of Wrestling YouTube. Well, now it's your turn to get involved. I want your predictions in the comments tonight. Who do you think is going to be moving in the WWE draft? Going to be answering your questions on all things related in wrestling as well. Let's have a fun 60-minute stream today, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll tell you what, I'm not going to do the first half of the stream on my own. I'm joined by a very good friend of mine, someone who, let's be fair, is someone who's a very busy man when it comes to the YouTube scene. He is live streaming almost on a daily basis. In fact, he's going to leave me to do his own live stream at some point today. But I tell you what, it's great to have him as always. I'm going to check my clocks for me now because it must be Tino's time. Tino, how you doing, my friend?
What's up, Steve? Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, man.
It is great to have you on, man. And what's your excitement levels for the WWE draft? We're 24 hours away.
Oh, I love the draft. 10. I love the NFL draft, MLB draft, WWE draft. Like you said when you opened the draft, you've been doing so much content. I used to do drafts with like pieces of paper. Like I used to like write out like drafts, and I used to do it like my figures and everything like that when I was a kid. So draft has always been one of my favorite things about just all of it, especially like back in the day, the way they used to do it.
Yeah, they used to have some fun methods that they did back in the day. Of course, 2002, the first ever draft. Of course, you go back and I think it was Ric Flair and Vince McMahon were the GMs doing on the podiums. Then we got the randomized and computerized screens where I think there was one year famously John Cena moved to SmackDown and back to Raw on the same night. And of course, then we've gone back to we went to Superstar Shakeup, I think in the mid-10s, that was god awful. And now we're back to now what we used to, Raw and SmackDown, separate brands. And of course, we've got the selections once again. Although sometimes now we have robots celebrating in the Fox studio.
Oh my God.
We'll see if we'll get that again this year. It's going to be exciting to see how it's going to play out. But WWE draft season, quickly going to say hello to our chat as well. We're not going to say get your comments in nice and early, people. We're going to go for about 60 minutes today. Too Sweet Carl in-house from On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. Well, look who we got here. Well, look who we got here in the chat. It's good to have you here with us. And thank you for checking in on the stream today. And kicking in with Leo as well. Leo, hope you're doing well. He says you've got to add me in. We might not get through a lot of the comments, Leo, but I'll tell you what, you are on my radar. I'm looking to get you in on a show very, very soon. So I'll hit you up on Twitter, my friend. It could be difficult today, though, depending on how things will go. But Tino, first, before anything really kicks off, I just want to quickly talk about SmackDown, obviously, tomorrow evening as well. The WWE draft is one important factor that we do have, but another important factor we have is a WrestleMania rematch. We've got Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens defending the tag team championships, the unified tag team championships against the Usos. This is going to be a big match. And honestly, with both tag team titles on the line here, it's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out because one or both of these teams could be drafted this time, obviously, tomorrow on SmackDown. And we could find, say, for example, I doubt we're going to see any of the teams break up, but will we find a way where they're going to break up the tag team championships? Here's going to be my quick prediction for you right now. I've got a funny feeling we're going to get a double pinfall. That's going to be my prediction for you. I think that we're going to get a screwy finish, a double pinfall. Either both shoulders are pinned on the mat, or it's going to be with one referee, or with the ref knocked out and there's two referees. And I think when we get to a cliffhanger to Monday Night Raw, I predict that Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn will be drafted to Raw. The Usos will stay on SmackDown. They'll say that the fair way to do it is to split the tag team championships, and the Raw champions are the Raw champions, and the SmackDown champions are the SmackDown champions, and they can resolve the issue once and for all in that six-man tag team match at Backlash. That is going to be my prediction for you tomorrow night on SmackDown. What do you think it's going to be like, Tim? Do you see something like that playing out? My main reason for it, obviously, we've got the World Heavyweight Championship that's been announced now for the brand that Roman isn't on. I feel like WWE wants to have these separate brands once again with separate championships representing each show.
So, and you took it right out of my mouth because I was hoping you were going to say it about splitting the belts because there's been a rumor that they've already been talking about it and they want to split the belts. So, honestly, I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be a double pinfall, which it might be, but there's going to be some type of screwy finish. We're going to see something because they're going to want to try to get the people to watch Raw because it's draft night too. Don't forget it's 2 nights this year, guys. Like it is, sometimes people forget that, but it is 2 nights. So Raw on, they're going to try to find a way. and it should be very interesting. But yeah, I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And I kind of hope that they make maybe like different designs. Like we saw the different design for like the world title. Maybe they bring like a different thing, like where like we had back in the day, like the world title. And then we had the tag titles where it was kind of blue, but it had like a different design. And then the world tag title, like that would be really cool. But yeah, I mean, and I think having Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and then having the Usos start off with like the separate belts, I think those two would be great, especially if you call up some tag teams from NXT, like Pretty Deadly, the Creed brothers, etc., that we'll probably talk about in a little bit, that, you know, like those rivalries are just built right there. That I think, you know, and the show we did yesterday, the Will Gray joined me. He mentioned what about possibly if since the Grizzled or since Schism, they're not happy in Schism, Rip and Jack, they wanted to release, they didn't get it. What if somehow Triple H convinces them to come back as grizzled young veterans?
Interesting.
One of those things, maybe, but it's just something that, you know, they're still here till October. They can't get out of their contract. And they weren't with Gacy and Ava on Tuesday for NXT. I don't know if anybody's didn't do that.
That's true. They were not present.
It out there, but yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
Then that would be great. I mean, the thing is, the tag team division is something that does need a little bit of TLC. It needs a bit of love. It needs a bit of rebuilding. Yeah. From Tom Collins' channel that he did on, I believe it was Monday. I'm going with Monday now for everybody. Could have been Friday, but I'm going to say Monday. He said that Triple H's idea of the draft was potentially to look at the tag team division, where it looks like maybe someone like a Vince McMahon was probably going to look at the women's division. So they've probably got their sections of where they're trying to improve the rosters. It will see, obviously, Triple H gets the final say on what's going on because he's meant to be the head of creative, we think. But let's see how it's going to play out. But I think the idea with the tag teams, like you say, pretty deadly. They look like they were written off NXT last night.
They got murdered on TV. What's with them murdering people on Tuesdays?
I don't know what it is.
No one's safe.
They went swimming with the fishes, didn't they, once again there? But I mean, the Creed brothers would be a great shout as well to be called up there. Like you said, Grizzled Young Veterans, I'm a big fan of as well. They'll be great teams to add into there. But obviously, that was our prediction anyway for Sami and KO versus the Usos. We're going for the idea of splitting the tag team titles, a dirty, messy finish, perhaps a double pinfall to make it happen. Tuesday Carl does say, I don't think it'll be clean. That I can agree with Steve. There we go. And he does go on to say as well, he's waiting for his return to this channel as well. I promise I'm going to try and start getting the guests on, shuffling the deck once again. We'll try and make it happen for everybody. But the content of YouTube isn't a bad thing at all. Excited for the draft. We are as well. It is draft fever in the house. Eric Douglas is in house as well. And Tina, question for you, because I've got not a clue what's going on here. Do you think Richardson is more athletic than Vic? Yes or no?
So this is an NFL draft question. We'll be live, guys, tonight on Tino's Time for the NFL draft. But Eric, we'll talk about that tonight for the NFL draft. But I don't know, man. I'll have to think about that one. So come in the stream tonight and ask me, because yeah, I don't know that one right off the top of my head.
There we go. There's time to read some stats up there. Eric, you know what to do later on tonight there. Ghost Spider in-house as well says, what's up, Steve and Tino? Hope you're doing well, Ghost Spider. Thank you for tuning in today. And Eric Douglas says, Roman should actually lose and not split his titles. Absolutely agree with that. We'll be talking more about the World Heavyweight title later in the stream as well. Ghost Spider here says, I want Seth Rollins or Drew McIntyre to win that World Heavyweight Championship at the Night of Champions. We've also been asked a question here on, do we think that Bron Breakker will get caught up to the main roster in the WWE draft? Tina, what's your thought after NXT this past week? Because it looks like they were building for Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes once again for NXT Battleground. Does Bron Breakker get the call in the draft now?
Exactly. That literally Tuesday night, I was getting ready for my show and I had to change everything because there were so many things that happened on NXT that were like we didn't like Bron Breakker starting the thing with Carmelo. So why would Bron get drafted to Raw or SmackDown if he's doing that at Battleground when it is Battlegrounds May 27th, I think, something like that, last weekend of May. So it's one of those things. There was a lot of things that like I kind of like switched where I was like, I don't know. And like even like the women, I was like, well, if Roxanne wins, there's no reason that she's gonna go up. So there was like things. So I honestly thought he would until he came out and speared Carmelo. So I possibly, but it just wouldn't make sense. But maybe they do it kind of like they did in the past where they don't start the rosters until after Night of Champions, maybe, but I feel like that would make, I don't know. So that's the thing where I just feel like with these, like with them being in stuff like in the NXT, I felt like, that changed a lot for like some of these NXT call-ups. So now honestly, I'm undecided. I don't know.
It's a really good point you make there, obviously, especially with the idea of sometimes we delay after the draft. The last one, 2021, there was like 3 weeks before
Yeah.
the rosters actually were confirmed. If they do something like that again, they could do it. But because it's the go home show to Backlash when this finishes, my assumption, again, I'm going on assumption here, guys. I think that we're probably going to start after Backlash is when it's all actually going to begin. But I mean, what you can do on the flip side, because I'm like you, I'm not as confident now about Bron Breakker as I was. He was a cert for me. He was getting called up. There was no big
I had him in my top 10.
Yeah, he was definitely coming in. And like you say, I think he was going to be called up as like one of the top draft picks on which show he was going to be drafted on. But at the same time now, he still could be, but he could be someone that does like squash matches and he's there for the NXT awareness for the few weeks before he loses to Carmelo Hayes. And then he's just, the main roster full time. But if he's going to be called up, he shouldn't be losing. So that is the other argument there, because Bron Breakker has that potential to be a real breakout star. And let's be fair, Bron Breakker since the heel turn very, very quickly, I have to say. He looks like a monster now, the way he's been booked. He's got a new re-energized character, and it just feels like now that this guy could be unstoppable.
Yeah, I really enjoyed him. And the one thing I will say is I really thought when they first announced this, I was really hoping they would start it Monday after Backlash. Because I feel like going out of Backlash, sometimes going out of a pay-per-view, we're kind of like, especially like some of like the people that like do all the content and everything. I thought maybe like that because the draft could keep everybody motivated. And I thought it would make more sense because then at least you're building to like Night of Champions. But that is the one thing. It is the go-home show for Backlash. So it should be interesting because, what if like Bad Bunny gets drafted to Raw and Priest and Judgment Day gets drafted to SmackDown? So then it's Raw versus SmackDown at Backlash or something. So
absolutely.
That's one of those things. I don't know. And we still don't know if there's going to be like a roster half night. We don't know what the rules are, if there's going to be GMs. I wanted to mention it. I haven't seen anybody yet. Teddy Long's supposed to be at SmackDown tomorrow. Holla, holla, holla. Who's going one-on-one with the dead man. But, we don't get GMs. We don't know who's drafting for what brands. So I feel like there's still a lot to be like decided, like 24 hours away.
I like the idea that you said that. Just the idea of say Teddy Long was in the house and he came out and did a pick for SmackDown, just one time on the podium, one pick, and that's it. Like rather than it should be his pick, but he's doing it on behalf of them. I think that could be a really cool way of doing it. Obviously, I think Triple H will do a lot of the discussing, or let's say the name calling on the show, but at the same time, it would be a fun way just to bring a bit of nostalgia and a bit of fun for the old draft fans as well, though. But we'll have to see how it's going to play out. Eric Douglas in the house saying Soul could get the call up to Sol Ruka. I'll have to wait and see if she will or won't. For me, I think it's a bit early days.
Today, though?
What happened to her?
Tore ACL. That's why she got written off of TV on Tuesday.
She will not be getting called up anytime soon. Then that's ruled that one out there.
So
that's
sad.
A shame. That's a shame. Yeah, wish her a speedy recovery.
I thought she would too. I thought she was going to be another one. And as soon as I said, after NXT on Tuesday, I had to change like 3 of my picks because there were things that I was just like, well, I don't know now. And so I think she will, though. I think she's going to be one of those people eventually that will get like a call up. And she's good. I feel like she could have been like a Carmella type this year, where she could have been like the last pick possibly, and then kind of built herself up. But so. Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. If Cena comes back, where would you have him, Raw or SmackDown? Obviously, we can't see him at the moment, but certainly not on that graphic anywhere. But if he wants to, this sort of thing could happen. He may make the one-off appearance. You mentioned Bad Bunny a minute ago. That's great for sort of WWE's publicity. You just draft him to a show. The odd time he will appear, then that's where they'll be. So what about Cena? Where would you put him, Raw or SmackDown?
I'd put him on SmackDown. I just think SmackDown's like great. Like I mentioned, two in one of the other like people I was talking to, like Becky possibly going back to SmackDown because that's where she won her first title in 2016 and everything like that. So I would love to see Cena go back to SmackDown just because that's like his home, But that's just me,
I like it. With the 2002 scene, obviously, that's where it began. Of course, Raw was where he spent probably a lot of his glory days. Raw would make the most sense if Roman stays on SmackDown, which I'm assuming he will do. And obviously, then you have that world title there. Cena can go for the 17th World Championship. But at the same time, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they would do it.
Robert Collins is a good thing, though, now. Too. That's a good thing, too. Sorry, not to, cut you off, but it's good that they have this title now. Now it gives, other people opportunities that, maybe they wouldn't, so.
That's the thing now. There is a lot of people that were stuck in a sort of the upper mid card that now can get back into the conversation. I do promise to talk more about the World Heavyweight title later on, but a lot of comments now are flying in. Shout out to Robbie, by the way, who is a part, same as Tino, on Wrestling YouTube, giving their draft picks on the show. That video went live yesterday. Go and give it a check out if you can. It's got nearly 400 views so far, so I'm really happy with the
there we
turnout of that
go.
video, which is really good.
Cool.
So yeah, make sure to give everyone the support as well that was involved on that video.
Sure.
Roman is the obvious number one pick, but let's not count him. Who would be your draft number one if you were GM? So we can't pick Roman. I think, you know, Kyle was right. Roman is going to be the number one pick. It would be silly for it not to be. But I mean, obviously, then if you were the GM, Tino, the GM, standing at the podium, Triple H just said, "Go on, we're keeping Teddy Long in the back until a bit later on. Who is going to be the number one draft pick?"
Okay, so that it's good that Kyle said that too, with not the champions, because the champions, I feel like we already know Gunther's probably going to go to Raw, Theory, SmackDown, like they feel like that's going to happen, and you know. But if I'm drafting and the whole roster is ready and the whole roster standing in the back of the room ready, waiting for me, I'm taking Seth freaking Rollins.
Nice. For me, adrenaline in my soul.
And that's the thing, like
Cody Rhodes.
Yep. And that was the thing yesterday when we did a mock draft. He took Rollins and then I took Cody. So it was like I probably would have took Seth if he was available, but I feel like that should be the 1-2 pick to brands. So
yeah, absolutely. Well, that's I'll say. Well, who would be your draft pick? Let us know in the comments. Like who if you were GM, obviously we know the idea that Roman is not meant to count, because I think everyone would just get a load of Romans come up on the comments. So who would be your alternative number one? Say you were the second GM to come up and you have your number one draft pick. Who would it be? Let us know in the comments now. Silken House NXT says, "Evening, fellas. Roman to NXT. Well, there's only a few world titles left for him to get now."
I mean, honestly, I feel like if some of these people do go to NXT, I feel like it wouldn't be a bad thing if they get you know what I mean? Like we've seen people go to NXT that actually get used. So I mean, if that's like a thing, like if they take like the Creed brothers, or if they take like Pretty Deadly, if they take these people, why not send somebody down that might need a little bit more work, or so, you know, instead of having a Batman Schism promo, whatever the heck that was on NXT.
Absolutely, yeah, that was awful. That definitely not Roman though, but yeah, I mean, like you say,
not Roman. I just mean Roman. Give me the title, Carmelo.
Yeah, exactly. God, well, it's a match now. I want to see now when you think about it. But at the same time, yeah, like you say, Dana Brooke, Dexter Lumis, they could do with going back down there. Akira Tozawa, there are people that could benefit certainly from it. Ed Fry's in the house as well. Ed, hope you are keeping well. Thank you for checking that stream from our local establishment. And Eric says, do you think Cora and Bron get called up together? Well, I guess if one gets called up to one show, say both are going to be called up, they'll be put on the same show, because of the fact that, you know, WWE likes to usually keep the couples together. You'd seem to think it'd be a sensible move, but like we said, we're uncertain now about Bron, if it's going to happen or not. And I must admit, I do look at Cora with her victory that potentially she could be someone that could be going for the NXT Women's Championship in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and I agree with that. That's why, like, I think possibly Tiffany Stratton possibly is one. Maybe she's like, maybe it's between Cora and Tiffany, and they're trying to decide, because I think Roxanne is a given. I think Roxanne lost on Tuesday. If she was going to stay on NXT, she was going to win. So maybe they call up Cora, they keep Tiffany down there to fight with Indy, or they call up Tiffany and they have Cora fight with Indy. So I feel like it's going to be maybe one or the other. Zoe Starks too. Like I feel like if this is all Triple H, I feel like we're just going to see a lot of NXT. Like this really could be like an NFL draft where we see a lot of like people that people might not know of. And it's not a bad thing, because then they get eyes on, you know, because did you know Roderick Strong is still with NXT or whatever the heck he was doing, and he showed up on AEW. He was still on like the thing. I was just like, okay, I didn't even know he got released, to be honest. But
well, Naomi is on WWE's roster page still, and there is some rumors she could be appearing somewhere.
They need to hire somebody new. Then he ain't doing his job.
Absolutely. Yeah, to be fair, that roster page needs update. Some of them renders need massively updating. You know,
but, yeah. I mean, yeah, man. I don't know. Should be interesting though.
It should be indeed there. Shout out to Alan Carter, by the way, in house as well. They're giving a Seth Rollins shout there for us there. Ghost Spider says, I heard rumors that Tyler Bate could be calling up to the main roster. I've seen those rumors as well. Of course, Tyler Bate had a great, apparently, match on Main Event recently. I forget who it was against, but apparently got him a bit of praise backstage. It was Ziggler, was it? Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, that would be a great match. But at the same time, looking at these two, Tyler Bate did seem to be on NXT next Tuesday, although if the drafts was to take shape after Backlash, then that could kind of make sense. But I'm reserved on that one. I didn't go with Tyler Bate myself in my predictions. Out of 10, what was your sense the likelihood that Tyler Bate could be there between 1 and 10?
I mean, I feel like it's like a middle, like 4 or 5, because I feel like it's more going to be like Dragunov, because I feel like that was the reason why he was smashed. And he called out Dijak, but I mean, plans can change. So, I mean, I don't know. And that's the thing. Like, I feel like there was a lot of things like people kind of getting like sent away on NXT, where like we saw him get like beat up by Dijak. We saw Pretty Deadly get murdered. So I think it's going to be JD and Dragunov that are the 2 drafted. And I think maybe if they change it, maybe Tyler Bate replaces one of them. I would love to see it. I think that would be great to see like a Tyler Bate and like Gunther match, or like if we see like, like Theory and Tyler Bate, like something like that, because I think obviously he'll start off and like, but if they do like a tournament style, maybe he could be for the new world title. That would be a good way to, I think, to get some of these guys out there too. Put them in the tournament, have them go out there like a Seth or somebody like that. And then these guys are like, oh, wait a second.
It would be interesting. I mean, for me, I think it's too soon for Tyler to go up to Raw or SmackDown, but that's my theory on it. But at the same time, like you say, fresh matches, fresh ideas certainly would be exciting. To be fair, like you say, it's a good way to introduce new people to the audience, make them seem like a big deal very, very quickly, and put them in that tournament. I like your thinking, Tino. Noob & Co. in the house as well. Just saying hello to you, Noob. Thank you for checking us out. Hope you're keeping well. And also, not draft related, but at the GYV to soon return come October. Absolutely, yeah, like you said earlier on, the contracts go until October, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with them in the meantime. But hopefully, JYV is much better than the Diet, in my personal opinion. Eric Douglas says, Fear wasn't with Chase U on Tuesday. Do you think it means Duke and Chase could get the call up, or maybe she gets called up? Interesting, she was missing on Tuesday this week, although to be fair, I think they made a comment backstage of the idea that she wasn't going to be. I think Duke said that all of the class wasn't going to be there because of the fact that Bron was so dangerous and menacing. It turned out to be the right move in the end because Andre Chase didn't stand a chance. But Andre Chase is someone who put a tweet almost faking his time in NXT. Is there a possibility that Chase U could get a section on Raw or SmackDown moving forward?
I mean, I'll join Chase University if that happens. And I mean, he kind of did, as you said, he kind of put out of a thing where he was like, goodbye. So, I mean, it would be interesting to see. I just hope somebody like him would be used right, and he doesn't just start getting jobbed to like Omos or some like, because like that's the one thing, like a lot of these people that like a lot of these people that watch like the main roster don't watch NXT. So when they see some of these people, unless if it's like a big name, they don't really know. So it's like it's like Chase U is so great that I don't want them to be like, you got to go, like we talk about Karrion Kross, we'll go back and watch his NXT days. So I would love to see Chase U, but I feel like, Chase U just works so well in NXT right now that why break something that's not broken?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I like the Chase U section on NXT. Again, it's one of those, I wonder how it would connect if they were to get the call up, but at the same time, I'm open-minded to it as well. I think that they have characters, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people in NXT have something that makes them distinct and makes them stand out, and I think that could bring something quite fresh to Raw and SmackDown going forward. Chase U could certainly be that something. It could be one of those ingredients that brings a bit of comic relief to the show. Not going to be anyone that's going to be going towards the main event, but certainly could be someone that could be interesting to watch. And obviously, we're talking about that tag team division as well there, to have Chase and Duke Hudson going for one of the sets of tag team titles.
Imagine.
Could be interesting at some point at a B pay-per-view or something.
Now, if they call all 3 of them up, that would be different. But if they're just going to call up Andre Chase, I mean, that would be interesting to see them all.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be good. It would be good indeed there. I'm going to say, Maxwell, I'm not sure what's going on then with the Underground Temple account if it's not connecting on this. I'll have to look into it. It's not the first time you've mentioned it, but we are both well. What's our thoughts then on the new big gold belt? So, Tino, you've only got a few minutes left before you've got to get ready for your stream. So this can be our big last sort of major topic we talk about for the next few minutes then. So what is your thoughts then of this new World Heavyweight Championship?
I mean, I really like it, and I think it's kind of like I was talking to like one of my friends and stuff like that I grew up with, and he just watches it and stuff like that, and it kind of like reminds me of like the big gold belt, and they put like the WWE logo on it and everything, and I feel like it's going to take a little bit of getting used to, but I think it's a good design, and it's way better than just like what it is, or it's red and with a giant W logo. And it's shiny, so it's like, And again, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are going to have the likes, dislikes, and everything. But I mean, you got to think at least there's another title to fight for. Yay. Like that's the biggest thing. And seeing like Seth and Finn go out, like looking at the title brought some SummerSlam vibes back and stuff like that. Just was like, it felt like I just, like that, like he says, like adrenaline in the soul and everything, like that adrenaline sometimes that when these things happen, is just like, it's crazy. So I really love it. And I'm excited to see like who makes a name for it.
That's the key. That's what we're going to need to find out. Who is going to make the name for this championship when it does come on? Because for me, I'm going to be honest with you, Tino, I'm mixed on where I stand on this at the moment, because in one way, like you said, they're the positives. We're going to have a world heavyweight champion that's going to be there regularly, apparently. We're going to have someone that's going to be, we can see on the opposite show, we are going to have a world champion once again. Obviously, for example, on shows like Money in the Bank now, which comes to the UK in July, we'll probably have a world championship match because Roman was not advertised to be there. That's brilliant. That's brilliant for the people that will be attending that show. But at the same time, what the way it was introduced for me was just a bit like Triple H saying, well, no one can beat Roman, and Roman's introduced himself now to this deal where he has got to be around all the time, which doesn't work for you, the fans. It's almost like saying, like, we can't find you a reason, a superstar needs to beat this guy and beat, after that, we can't even get this guy on the show to defend the title. So here is something you can all fight for in the meantime. It felt a bit like a consolation prize, and it's awful to say, but at the same time, Seth Rollins later on made something like, it's not about politics, it's not about, all this sort of, backstage BS or whatever. This is going to be about a world title. It's going to be worth fighting for. So Seth made a bigger deal of this. My main critique as well is this now based off the old World Heavyweight Championship that we saw in WWE? That's a Triple H, Batista, The Undertaker, John Cena, Edge, making this championship like what it was back in the sort of noughties? Or is this like the Universal title, which has kind of got no lineage, no history behind it whatsoever? Like you said, it's a bit like the big gold belt, but with the WWE logo thrown in the middle. To be honest with me, I actually like the design. If it's going off that old lineage, I'm all for that. I like that. But my only last critique, I actually have two, but it's linked in together, Tina, and I'm sorry, and I'll stop talking.
No, I mean, hey.
It's Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Because Roman Reigns is the head of the table. He's the tribal chief. He's the undisputed, not anymore. He's the disputed world heavyweight champion. He holds 2 world heavyweight titles out of 3. He's knocked out of the third one. He's not allowed to have it. Well, the thing is, what happens then with Roman's story? Because that was his shtick. He was the guy that could go on Raw or SmackDown because he had both championships. He was the big deal. He was the, how would we say? He was the big fish in the pond, basically. And that's what made the head of the table so special, because of the fact that when he came, he was an attraction and someone had to beat him to become a world champion. The star was made by beating Roman Reigns, not by introducing a brand new world title. And here's my other thing that links in with it. What if it's Cody Rhodes that wins it? If Cody wins it, great, he wins the world title. That's amazing. But he was supposed to finish the story at WrestleMania. If he goes and wins this title that may or may not have the lineage, that for me is a problem. And that's where I stick and say, I'm not sure I'm fully on board with this. I'd be fully on board if it's a Seth Rollins that wins it, a Bobby Lashley, a Gunther. Drew McIntyre would be a great shout as well there. But the thing is, though, Cody for me it almost makes me want Cody to move to SmackDown because of the fact I want him to take the titles from Roman Reigns. I've spoke a lot, and Tina, I need to get your thoughts on this before I let you run away for your stream.
Run away. No, and I mean that's the thing where that's why I said, and that's why with my predictions, I have Cody going to SmackDown and I have Seth going to Raw, so Cody can go finish the story versus Roman, and we could have Seth, Gunther, Pete. We bring back Pete Dunne. Maybe there's other people that come up, like if Braun does come up, etc., etc. I think that would be great. And that's going to be the thing where you said, like, the consolation prize. Yeah, I thought we were talking about just the design and everything. I mean, the consolation prize, I completely agree with you on that, where it's like, it does feel like that, where it just like, it's going to be something that, like, they just have because Roman can't touch it and Roman can't do this and that. But who can't say that once Roman takes a break, he's not going to come back to Raw and fight for, you know what I mean? Well, maybe Cody finishes the story. Roman takes 6 months off. We see Roman come out and spear whoever the champion is. If it's Gunther, if it's Seth, if it's, you know what I mean? So it's just one of those things that, it's not saying that Roman can ever get it. it just, that's the thing right now where it's like, it just does feel like it. And it's like, that's why I feel like Cody needs to be the one to beat Roman, because at this point, who else would make sense? But again, if they just did it at WrestleMania, none of this we'd be talking about. We'd be talking about Cody as champion and maybe Roman being drafted and having 6 months off till, whatever. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with you on that. So that's why I do kind of hope Cody goes to SmackDown. And I feel like once we draft and we know who's going, we'll be able to tell a lot and what is going to happen.
Absolutely, and I think that's a really good point you make there. The draft is going to be the key of where this is going to be going forward with the new whatever champion. Who will be the contenders? Who will go for that title? I'm interested in Roman's thoughts. I hope he actually just releases a statement and saying you had to bring a new title in because none of y'all could beat me. That for me would be quite interesting.
It's so great.
And
Did
Roman
you see that meme that he put or that somebody made where it was like, hey, look, Paul, Triple H made me a new title I could get.
Yeah, exactly. The Triple Crown, it's there for him, isn't it, if he wants to take it? Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like that's pretty much the thoughts summed up there for the big gold belt. Tino, you've got a stream yourself coming up very, very soon, but you wanted to join for a cameo here, and it's been about half an hour. I want to say thank you for your time, my friend, and I hope all goes well with your stream. It's a baseball-related stream, if not mistaken.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate you having me. I would stay here the whole time if I didn't have to go and vent about my bad baseball team that hasn't won in 7 days. But yeah, man, I appreciate you having me, talking some WWE draft talk a little positivity before I got to go be so negative. So thank you, man, so much. Maybe a few weeks we'll do like a draft recap or something like that, or But yeah, thank you so much. Enjoy the draft, and I'll talk to you soon. If everyone wants to follow me on Tino's Time. You guys know, if you guys are here all the time, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And yeah, Steve, thanks for having me.
Anytime, dude. Anytime. Like I say, subscribe to Tino's Time. He does fantastic content over there. We'll be covering a lot heavy with the draft as well, doing watch-alongs as well. And you brought gaming to the channel as well very recently. So make sure to make your time Tino's time going forward. Tino, thank you so much as always.
No problem, man. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good rest of the stream, guys.
No worries, man. Take it easy. In the meantime, though, ladies and gentlemen, I will be carrying on with the rest of your questions here for you now. And going to start with Noob and Co's question for you now. It says, if Damage Control do get split, who will be drafted? Would it be Iyo Sky, Bayley, or Dakota Kai? For me, on my predictions, I went with Bayley to take the only one to go over to SmackDown. But I wouldn't be surprised if Iyo Sky was a potential mover as well, as she's got the match with Bianca Belair at Backlash. There could be a reason they're doing that match now because they're going to split them up in the draft. But I will say I'm going to stick with Bayley. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sky and Kai turn on Bayley on the night that Bayley is separated from them. That is what I'm going to predict as well. Ed Fries as well says, most of the newer NXT ladies need more time in NXT. I hope Tiffany, Thea, Sol, Nikita, etc. stays to get more time to be trained for in-ring time. Completely agree with you, Ed. I do think it's a bit soon for most of those women. I think of all of them, I think Tiffany is the most ready, but I do think that an NXT Women's Championship run should be in her future. And I would say that I think that would really help her out because her and Indy Hartwell, for me, has definitely got something going on with a good storyline, and I hope that does continue going forward. I hope that her injury, Indy, is not as bad as what looked like it could be first feared watching NXT this past week. We've got Maxwell says, my thoughts on the big new gold belt. I love it and I don't love it. And who puts me off is the big ass W in the middle. With that, I like it a lot. It does put a lot of people off, but I do think it's not as in your face as the other WWE championships. And I think that's why I'm a bit more on board. Plus, Mr. Nostalgia here loves the big gold belt. I can't lie. Tis McCall says, if he was the GM, his first draft pick would be Seth Rollins. Everyone wants Cody or Rollins to win the World Heavyweight title, but the dark horse for me, the push is Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura's an interesting one because he's come back now. There's a bit of buzz about him. I love the video package last week on SmackDown. My only feeling with it is that I don't think he's going to go past the mid card at this particular time, but the draft will shape everything. So, Max, I'm saying my opinion. I could be totally different this time next week, depending on where Shinsuke is going to end up. But yeah, for me, as I said already heavily, I don't want Cody to win this championship. Although, if I'm going to be honest with you, he, for me, right now would be the favorite to do so. But Rollins, for me, would not be a bad shout at all to do it because Rollins and Roman as well have the history. And I think with what Rollins came out and said on the mic, I think for me, that's enough to get people on side to make him want to win that championship. Ghost Spider 2003 says, imagine Rhea Ripley gets drafted to SmackDown and the rest of the Judgment Day stay on Raw. Stranger things have happened in the draft. We've been teased of all these teams breaking up. No one said nothing about Judgment Day. And a good friend, Jonesy, who's involved in a number of these streams, does actually believe that Dominik will eventually leave the Judgment Day to be the leader of the LWO, which I think is a fun little prediction that he's given there. So, I mean, that would be a good way to do it. If you're going to split the Judgment Day up, that would be a good way to do it. But I do believe that all of them will move over to SmackDown and will stay together. They're doing fantastic work in WWE. There's plenty of mileage left in that group. Nubiko says, I heard from a lot of people are complaining about Asuka. Doesn't want her to get drafted to SmackDown. Do you think SmackDown is a 2-hour show? Do you think SmackDown is a 2-hour show? As usual, WWE don't have plans for Asuka. I think I've got the basis of what you're getting with this here. If she goes to SmackDown, does she get lost in the shuffle and not be on TV? For me, I don't see that being a problem. I predicted Asuka will move to SmackDown. That's my current pick and my take. I think she'd be one of the top females in that roster. If you look at what SmackDown's got at the minute, if Asuka was to move over there, she would be definitely in the top 2 baby faces, and she certainly, if she was going to be the heel, which she was around WrestleMania time, because she's not been on TV since, but I think she'd be one of the top heels as well. I imagine that we're going to shuffle the deck a little bit. Asuka could be on the same brand as Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, or one of those two could go over to Monday nights, which would free a space for her to be one of the top heels. So it's going to be interesting. I think she'll be fine wherever she lands. Obviously, it didn't go too well for her in the end at WrestleMania. She should have, in my opinion, won the championship. But hey, Bianca's going to break that record, and that's a great record for Bianca to get. She does thoroughly deserve it. She's doing some incredible in-ring work, and the star power is at an all-time high at the minute. But Asuka's time will come around again very, very soon. I just think, unfortunately, WWE put themselves a bit into a corner, when it comes to that one. Ed Francis Carmel Hayes was his number 1 draft on the OLE mock draft. Of course, yeah, Carmel Hayes, I mean, you're a big NXT guy, aren't you? So, I mean, of course, Carmel Hayes would be a good shout. And do you know what? I really enjoyed this match with Grayson Waller this week. I've got to say, really, really enjoyed it. Daz says Lesnar or Rey Mysterio would be the number 1 draft pick for Daz. And Eric says would be Rhea Ripley. First draft pick for Max would be Chad Gable. Reason for it, he would be the guy that you would work around your roster, if you get what I mean. Absolutely. When it comes to Chad Gable, you can just put him in the ring with everybody and you know you're going to get a good match. You know that what you're getting, it's a safe pair of hands, like you say. And judging from what you've done with your channel, when I see a lot of the shows that you put together, you have that where you work with the work rate. You seem to like those stars or superstars there, and you say, if I have that person there, I can make good matches in and around with that. So, Max, I can see you pick 100%, and Chad Gable will be a hell of a pick for whoever gets him. Cora worked main event in Chicago. Oh, so maybe then again, she's from there. Could be a good shout, but I mean, Kyle, that's information and news to me. We'll have to wait and see if Cora Jade will be there. And obviously, Silks does say main event this week, I believe. So must be a match we'll have to go and check out, I guess. Roddy's contract expired, but on the roster page is forever out of date. Ed, you are correct, my friend. I still can't believe that they've got the Usos renders from about 2 or 3 years ago before they won the tag team titles. Although, if you saw the start of my video, there could be a reason for that. Daz says, who would you pick for Raw or SmackDown, but not Roman or Seth or Cody? Well, I mean, I've done my full predictions of who I think will move where, but if you're saying you're taking some of these names out, who would be the big names to go in on each show? People know by now I'm a big fan of Gunther. I think wherever Gunther goes, he will be. But by the end of the year, I think he's going to be one of the top names on that side. And for me, I think that Gunther will be on the opposite to Roman, because I think Gunther is going to be, like I say, a top guy and a champion. So yeah, I think Gunther could be going to Raw. And I think Austin Theory could be going to SmackDown. I think Tina mentioned that as well at the start of the stream there. So I think that's some big picks. Like I say, Bayley and Judgment Day, there's some big picks for SmackDown as well. For Raw, I can see the likes of perhaps maybe LA Knight being one that can get a breakout moment on that show. I think would be good for him for TV time. Drew McIntyre, I think, needs that move as well. And just one more for SmackDown. I think Bobby Lashley to SmackDown would be a good shout as well, because him and Roman on the same show, it's been a long time since we've seen that program. So not seeing it with the Almighty and the head of the table, for me, that would be something I'd like to see, especially if you could reunite that Hurt Business, get the Hurt Business against the Bloodline. And did someone say Andre Chase? I can't do it as good as you, my friend, but absolutely, yes, we did. Ghostfather says, if WWE do general managers again, then I want to see Teddy Long Jim for SmackDown. Absolutely. I love a good old tag team match being put in there. And did a retro review just recently. In fact, it went onto the channel this past Monday of Fatal 4-Way from 2010. Teddy Long's on that show as the GM for SmackDown in a very fun storyline, actually. So, yeah, anyone that's not checked out, myself and NXT were a part of that. It's got over 80 views so far, which I'm really pleased with when it comes to the retro stuff. And I'd like to know, actually, people in the comments, do you watch the retro reviews? Are you into them? Do you like them? Just for general interest for me. Is it your kind of thing? Are you the audience that I'm looking for? And if you are into the retro content, what sort of area do you like me to do retro content? Do you want the golden era? Do you want the attitude era, ruthless aggression, or PG onwards? Be interested to know your thoughts on that as we go down through the comments. Ghost Spider also says William Regal, general manager to Raw after the draft. If only. I don't think William Regal is allowed on WWE TV after his exit from AEW, especially I don't think for the first year of his WWE contract. So I sadly can't see it happening, but would love to see it happen. Plus, Regal is very busy. I think he's doing a lot of work, from my understanding, with the NXT Europe, what's going on at the minute, and a lot of the talent sort of recruitment side of things. So Regal's been very, very busy. And of course, Charlie Dempsey is his boy as well. I think he's probably mentoring him a lot in NXT. Silk says the NXT Women's Division is running thin at the moment due to injuries. Be surprised if more than, say, one female is called up. Yeah, I mean, I do agree. Hearing these injuries that are coming thick and fast, it might stop a couple of call-ups happening, and it may also be to a situation where one or two women are pushed into a bit more exposure to the spotlight sooner than maybe what they were expecting. Perhaps maybe the likes of a Gigi Dolan and JC Jane as well may take their feud to the next level, get themselves within a championship program afterwards. So there is still a lot of women going around in NXT, but I know what you're saying. I still think Roxanne Perez is probably the most likely female from the NXT roster to receive that call-up. Ghost Spider says Seth Rollins versus Cameron Grimes, dream match. It could be a match we could be seeing on Raw or SmackDown in the coming weeks. I think Cameron Grimes could be one that could get the call up. He's not been on NXT for, it feels like, months. Max says, I like the nods to the big gold, but I hate the W in the middle. But there's a decision I have had on my Insta Live this morning that is it a sympathy vote title for Cody? I really hope it's not. Like I said, I think it would be a wrong decision to do that for Cody. I think he needs to finish the story. But I do see him as the favorite to win that championship. But I would like it to be Seth Rollins, or I'd like it to be a heel Drew McIntyre. But hey, that's just me. We've also got WWE 26 in the house as well. Giving a shout out to Ed Fries. Thank you, WWE 26, for dropping in. Silk says they should do Clash of Champions, have the World Heavyweight Champion be the first person to pin him. I mean, that would have been a way to do it, wouldn't it? But hey, that's not what they're doing, unfortunately. But I was always a big ball fan of Night of Champions rather than Clash of Champions. I always felt that didn't really necessarily add up to me when I used to see that, because you should have then Raw and SmackDown go head to head. But that's maybe just me. Max says Big Goldie equals Ciampa soon. Oh, I like the cheeky wink with that as well. Like where you're going with that. As well, Edward in the House of Sarah says maybe everyone should not be a part of the draft because of an active contact. So to save from picking everyone, someone you already have. Do you know what? That's actually one of my nitpicks with the draft, actually. Yeah, but I'm really glad you've brought this point up because, yeah, I mean, when you sometimes watch these shows, the draft is a really exciting time of year, especially for content, for creators like us. We love doing videos like this, and you know, I know a lot of the people in the wrestling community have done some great content over the last week or so. But like you said, when you come to watching the show, like we know that first draft pick is going to be Roman Reigns. If it's not Roman, it's going to be Cody. We've got an idea of where it's going to be, and certain people end up on the same show, and it's a bit like, well, yeah, like if only 4 people have changed shows by the end of SmackDown, you do kind of get a feeling of, well, what was the point? So I totally get where you're coming from. I do miss the old days where it was kind of like you won a draft pick. I thought that kind of made sense. I suppose if someone wins a draft pick, do they say, well, I'm having Roman then? You know, taking it from someone else's roster. That can, I suppose, muck plans up for WWE, but maybe that's where the randomizer needs to come back in. I'm not sure what the best way is to get around it, but Edward, I think you make a fantastic point, my friend. Thank you for bringing that into the chat here now. C Nation, thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing very, very well. Since Roman wins the World Heavyweight Championship, then I will be so mad. Yeah, I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon. Apparently, Roman is not going to be allowed anywhere near that title. I suppose the earliest could be WrestleMania, but we'll worry about that when we get there, I think, at this particular point. I love that WWE 26 says It's not that personal. It's not happening yet. It's not happening yet. We'll get there when it comes to it. If Cody doesn't dethrone Roman Reigns, says Ghost Spider, then Roman Reigns should be the one. Fantastic stuff. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Randy is out injured at this particular moment. So, I mean, I don't know how long he's going to be out for. I'll have to wait and see how it will be. Oh, Kyle, thank you very much for saying, tag me in, Steve. I'm ready. Are you still with us? Let's know if you're still with us. I'll try and see at the bottom there if you're still there. C Nation says Seth Rollins will be the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. I think there was a good chance that could happen. And Edwards also says, I see how Finn looked at the new title. He did have a good cheeky glance at it, didn't he? I just have a feeling that Finn could be moving shows, but we'll have to wait and see. It'll be interesting how it will play out. Just quickly drop to the bottom. There we go. Make sure I've got all the comments in as we do. C Nation here says Seth Rollins is the first ever NXT champion. True story. Finn Balor, the first ever Universal Championship. They should fight to become the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. Wouldn't be a bad match, C Nation. I'm not going to lie to you. I think that would be a good idea to do. I do feel that they're probably going to do Rollins versus Cody if I had to predict today. And of course, we've seen that match a few times before. Would be a good way if Rollins was to win that match, by the way, and to win the championship. That would be a good way to do it. And I suppose it would add a bit of adversity to Cody as well, to finishing his story if he doesn't get the job done again. That could be a nice little tweak there as well. It's also been a while since we've seen Seth versus Brock. I could be a little bit on my own, on a hill on that one, but I wouldn't mind seeing that match again either. But hey, we'll have to wait and see how it'll go. Eric says, Dom in the bank, what do you think? I think it'd get a lot of heat. Maybe it could be money. But if I had to predict right now, I don't see it happening, no, at this particular moment. But I don't know who I do see it. I think Drew or Gunther is probably where I'm sitting at right now. Maxwell says, LWO versus Judgment Day in War Games, or do you think the feud will end by Survivor Series? I am hoping long before Survivor Series, although I think there's a chance they still could be on the same show. I would say by the latest SummerSlam, if it goes on till that length of time. I understand with long-term storytelling, but I think LWO versus Judgment Day doesn't have the same steam for me, and as it did with the Bloodline and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So yeah, I hope SummerSlam by the latest, but it may even end by the draft tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. C Nation says Grayson Waller talks big but can't back it up. His ankle did give out on him in that match, but it was a protection way for him to lose. Is he going to Raw or SmackDown? People, what do you reckon? Let us know in the comments. Is he going to Raw or SmackDown? Going into the comments once again, then we've got Vegeta Lover 92. Thank you for tuning in for us. That says Gunther would be a top pick for him, or perhaps the first champion. I'm not sure which one. Maybe I have to specify for us. But thank you for checking out the stream. Hope you are doing well. Ghost Spider says first draft picks: Roman Reigns to SmackDown, and second pick Drew McIntyre to Raw. I suppose it's who's eligible, because that could be quite a possibility. Roman to SmackDown feels like it will happen. Maybe the Bloodline will be all taken together as well. We've seen groups being taken together before, so maybe it's not just Roman. Maybe it's the Bloodline, or maybe it's Roman pick 1 and the Bloodline is pick 2 for SmackDown, where you could say like a Drew and a Cody, or Cody and Seth, or perhaps Bianca, Becky could be the picks for Raw. It'd be interesting what will happen, but I wouldn't actually be surprised actually saying that. Roman being the top draft pick for SmackDown, Bianca being the top pick for Raw. I'm going to go with that. I like that. I'm sticking with it. Cody Rhodes should finish the story with Roman Reigns. I agree, C Nation, wholeheartedly. Edge is probably winning the World Heavyweight Championship before he's retiring. It would make sense. He never lost the belt. A great shout, C Nation. I totally haven't forgotten about Edge. He's been missing for quite a while. He'll probably be drafted over the next couple of days as well, so it'll be interesting to see where he lands. He would be a good contender. Maybe that could also be a story for him with his retirement. If he can't win it, he has to retire. So that could be a good story they could go with as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if they did have him win the championship one more time. I wonder, though, if fans would be as into that idea in 2023. Maxwell says, was the retro review wasn't the one I suggested months ago, or was it another review? As you're tapping into it was another one. It was Fatal 4-Way. Great Balls of Fire was in the selection, and it finished second in the post, unfortunately, Max. So hopefully next time you get your wish. But it was your type of what you suggested. You wanted shows that had only been done once and never done again. All the shows that were on offer were those shows. So Fatal 4-Way was the winner for this one. Yes, NXT has done it, but it doesn't count. WWE's main roster was what we were going with. And yeah, it's a good stream. I think I would recommend people to go out their way if they wanted to go and check it out. Edge doesn't want to yet, says, well, we'll have to wait and see. I know Edge made a comment last year about something about Ontario the next time they could be retiring. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case or not, but he or she does love the W on this belt. Vegeta, I think that's a good shout as well. I don't mind the W on the belt. It's a bit more discreet than some of the other championships. For me, I'm okay with it. I'm not going to lie to you. Sinister says, I don't know if it's just me, but Bron Breakker reminds me of Roman Reigns and Carmelo Hayes reminds me of Seth freaking Rollins. Probably the in-ring style might have something to do with it. I must admit, I don't see the connection myself. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, whatever floats your boat. I mean, it's not bad to be reminded of top superstars when you're seeing stars of the future as well. I don't think Bron is getting drafted now. Do you know what? You could be right. I think there is a chance that the Bron could be sticking around NXT, certainly until after Battleground. Ghost Spider says, imagine Roman Reigns versus NXT Tommaso Ciampa at SummerSlam. Ciampa would need a lot of wins to get there, though, wouldn't he? For me, I'm not sure I'd be so invested at the start, or the mainstream would be invested. But as say, if you go back to NXT, that Ciampa versus this Roman Reigns, if you can book it where it's got the same amount of heat for both guys, yeah, it would be pretty good. But yeah, I mean, in the meantime, I do think Roman currently would smash him. Finn Balor should win the title to get redemption. I mean, to be fair, it's not a bad shout. The redemption story is always there. Too sweet. I've seen that you are there now. I've not got hands free at the moment, Kyle. I will try my best. I'm going through the chat quite quickly at the minute. I'll try and see if I can get you tagged in shortly. C Nation says, if Roman wins the World Heavyweight Championship, what's hang on. I've got something come on my screen there. What will be the replacement name for the undisputed WWE Universal Championship? For me, and I'm going to say for me this, I would hope that if Roman was to lose the championships, that it would just become the WWE Championship again. I don't want to see. I'm not a fan of the Universal Championship. I've got to be honest. I've never been a fan of that title. I understand that it would bring something new, something fresh when they did the brand splits before. But I suppose, yes, partly because it was red, but I think just the way that the championship was booked, really, I felt that a lot of people were injured very, very quickly when they had the championship. Then we got the likes of Goldberg squashing Kevin Owens in 21 seconds. For me, that didn't help either. So for me, those were the sort of things that I didn't like about it. It's only Roman's reign that I turn around and say I think that worked. With Roman's reign the way that it's been, I mean, that's made this championship special. But at the same time, for me, I would say that I'm the WWE Championship's got so much lineage and history. You can't let that go away. If you're going to do as well, like the World Heavyweight Championship again, if it's got that old history, fair play. That's good to bring it back. But otherwise, yeah, like I say, you're starting again, and that's when I have that disconnect. But hey, I think that it will be eventually retired anyway. I don't think we'll get a replacement name for the championship. I think that it's going to be back to the WWE Championship eventually. Where will Randy go? Unfortunately, still the treatment table does at this particular time. But when he returns, I would like to see him on Raw. I think especially, I want him where Cody goes. I think that's probably the best way. Forget Riddle. I'm not interested in the Riddle storyline. I want him to go where Cody goes. And I think that the Legacy storyline playing off that could be quite fun. Although I've heard about the things with Ted DiBiase, stuff that's been going around recently, allegedly. And that could prevent that sort of storyline going on for the time being. Sination says Seth Rollins beat Finn Balor in the finals of a tournament to become the first ever World Heavyweight Championship to get revenge at SummerSlam 2016. It's long-term storytelling at its finest. Will it happen though? We'll have to wait and see. I think that's where we're going to go with that one. Maxwell says Sheamus or AJ Styles should be in the tournament, right? If AJ's fit enough and good to go, yes. If he's good to go. Sheamus, if he's put to the right show, then yeah. I mean, I think it all depends on the draft, but those are, of course, two big names and definitely would be both worthy of that spot. Cody shouldn't even challenge for the World Heavyweight Championship. He should be drafted to the brand where Roman Reigns will be drafted. For me, I'm more in favor of that idea now, C Nation, although I expect Cody to be still on Raw. I'm giving it away, aren't I? Roman to be on SmackDown, Cody to be on Raw. But I'm pretty sure a number of you have probably seen my predictions video by now because a lot of you are quite regulars here. Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins versus Cody Rhodes for the World Heavyweight Championship. Triple threat match at Night of Champions. I mean, it's a good match. Won't lie, it's a good match, Ghost Spider, so I'm not against that at all. Yeah, could be quite fun if it was to go down. Carl, if you're still with us, by the way, the link has been sent to you, my friend. Sinister says, I do not see LA Knight winning Money in the Bank. Last year, people said Seth freaking Rollins would win. In 2020, AJ Styles would. And there was a change on the day of. And yeah, I mean, that has happened a number of times. And of course, it's always been a Vince call in the past as well. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it will go down. But yeah, I mean, for me personally, with Money in the Bank, it's an interesting call this year. At the moment, I'm sticking with Drew or Gunter, especially with it being in the United Kingdom. And speaking of special guests, we've had one. We're going to get a second one now. And I tell you what, he is not just on the Muck Wrestling podcast. No, he's one member of them, but he's actually a bit more than that, ladies and gentlemen. He is Mr. OTM. Kyle, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome to the stream.
What's going on, Steve? A little impromptu live stream. I love it.
I know. I mean, bring it. Who needs a head of the table when we've brought OTM to the table?
That's right. I figured, you know what? There's no podcast this week for us. And I was watching, the great live stream with you and Tino's time. And I figured, why not throw my name into the hat? And here we are. Let's talk some wrestling. Steve, how you been?
I've been doing very well, thank you. Yeah, it's been a busy time doing the draft, and it's been so much content, so many videos. Obviously, it's an exciting time right now as well in WWE in general. Obviously, with so much going on, the new title being brought in as well. I know you've done a video on your thoughts of the new heavyweight title on your channel. Obviously, I recommend people go and check that out. It's was it 6 to 7 minute video as well? So it's different to the usual style of content you guys do as well. Obviously, like you said, no podcast this week, but yeah, it's been a busy time. How about your good self?
I've been all right. Work's getting a little busy, but like you said, excited for the draft. And yeah, thanks for the shout out for that video. It's on the On the Mark Wrestling Podcast YouTube channel. Figured if we weren't going to have a podcast, I got to pump out some content, But I personally was a fan of the new World Heavyweight Championship. So I'm not going to go too in depth. So if you guys want to go check that out, I would greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do recommend it as well, though. But hopefully, if we're lucky, we might be able to get a couple of your draft picks through the stream as well. That would be quite nice to see. But quickly, let's get back to the comments just before I do. What's your excitement levels for the draft tomorrow?
It's got to be out of 10. I mean, the excitement for tonight's NFL draft, like Tino said, is at a 10. As you can see, I'm wearing my Packers jersey right now, and for anticipation. But no, the WWE draft excitement has hit a 10 out of 10 for me. I had to ask that question about who you would take number one, because Roman Reigns obviously is going to be number one, but I was curious to what people would say if Roman Reigns wasn't an option. So I totally agree with that Seth Rollins pick that a few people were saying. So that would be my pick as well. But yeah, totally excited for this draft coming up tomorrow night.
It should do. It hopefully presents a lot of change and a lot of excitement. Hopefully, as Triple H said, it will change the game. And that championship certainly is one thing that's happened to change the game. Let's see if some superstars moving that we don't expect could really shake things up. I think that would really make some exciting TV moving forward. Let's go back into our chat though then. And Carl, we can get you involved in this as well.
Yeah.
He says, Go Spider, Iyo Sky wins women's Money in the Bank and Drew to win there. So Money in the Bank's a bit of a hot topic as well at the moment. Would you like to see Iyo Sky as a potential winner?
I think she's got to be in the top three for the favorites right now. They're positioning her to take that next step. She's going to have that title match at Backlash, of course. I'm not sure if she wins, but I think the way that they've kind of slowly been separating Damage Control is good for Iyo Sky. I don't know where that, sends Dakota Kai. I hope she doesn't get lost in the shuffle, but she's got to be up there as one of the favorites, wouldn't you think, Steve?
Do you know what? She's great high flying. She's got experience in ladder matches. She's won ladder matches as well in the past. So I mean, why not? I would be totally in favor of it. If you're gonna break up Damage Control, Iyo for me is someone that I think is all of them have got talent. I want all of them to break up, but Iyo for me is the one that can get to that next level quickest, I think. And I'd like to see her get an opportunity. I think it's going to be a great chance for her to stand out at Backlash against Bianca Belair. I do think that's a low key, although in my opinion, predictable match. I do think low key it could be a match to get a lot of people talking.
I do want to ask you this, if you don't mind. I feel like this year's Money in the Bank, at least as of right now, is very unpredictable. Would you agree that this is one of the more unpredictable Money in the Bank, pay-per-views this year in 2023?
I would say so, yeah. I think the idea as well, because there was lots of rumors that it was going to be going back to WrestleMania. And then we got the announcement it was coming to the UK. Obviously, it's excitement for everyone that's going to be going to it in the UK. Obviously,
are you going to be going?
I won't be. No. But at the
Darn.
same time, I would love to go to All In at Wembley, but I don't think that's a possibility either at this particular moment, unfortunately. But at the same time, like I think that you have that feeling. Will there be, going for the UK fans, have a UK winner for the Money in the Bank? But like you said, there's so much talent and that's available right now. Some people push to that next level. You don't always have to go with the established. It's time to push the new stars of tomorrow. Iyo Sky is a good one. Gunther, like I said, would be one for the European crowd to do so. Drew is a name that's mentioned here, of course. Has not had his moment. Obviously, the last time in the UK didn't go so well at Clash of the Castle. So there's a lot of people it could work out for. We spoke about LA Knight earlier on as well. So there's so much potential. And now hopefully you can say it properly because I can't do it properly. Maybe even Andre Chase.
Did somebody say Andre Chase?
There we go. It's
a layup. I got to slam dunk that, Steve. I got to.
It's playoff season for the NBA. So I'm going to say shout out to the Knicks, by the way. They got through to the semis of the Eastern. I'm very happy, man.
Is that your team?
They are my team, yeah. I don't know that much about basketball, but I watched them when I went on my honeymoon, and I've got to say, been following them since. And last year was not a great year because I thought they were doing well when I was in New York, and then they came back and they lost the rest of the season. And now this year they're in the playoffs, and it's quite exciting. So I'm getting more and more into it.
Nice.
C Nation says Gunther isn't becoming the first ever world heavyweight champion. He's already the Intercontinental Championship. That's very true. Do you see Gunther becoming the longest reigning IC champion at this point?
I think now that we're here, what is it? Almost May. May is going to be on Monday. You might as well stretch it out a couple more months because I believe it would be like August or September would be beating the reign. So, I don't think he's going to be the first world heavyweight champion. So if he's not going to be the first world heavyweight champion for that new belt, you might as well keep that reign going for the IC title.
Absolutely. As we're talking draft, by the way, just you bit your thoughts as we go through as well. Gunther, is he staying on SmackDown? Is he moving to Raw, in your opinion?
I think he's going to Raw. I'm assuming that Roman Reigns is going to stay with Fox Network and stay on SmackDown just because he's the biggest draw in professional wrestling right now. And I think a big statement would be putting another champion on the other brand. Why not take Gunther, who's been on a roll in this past calendar year?
I 100% agree with that, and you've worded it so well as well there. Maxwell says, Grayson Waller drafted where the Miz is. WWE needs tag teams, right? They do need tag teams. Do you see a Grayson Waller effect ending up on Miz TV, or do you see Miz TV invading a Grayson Waller effect?
I think I could see them feuding. I'm not sure if I could see them pairing up together because I think the comparisons can cause conflict between the two. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's maybe the first feud that Grayson Waller were to jump into if he were to get to the main roster. But like you guys were talking about earlier, I don't really know what the situation is with his ankle right now. So that might throw a wrench into things.
I'll have to wait and see. It was an interesting show this past week, Spring Break.
It was a good one.
It was a good one. I really enjoyed Spring Breaking.
Yeah.
Hopefully Grayson Waller is okay. But I mean, like you said there, if you might try them out as a team and maybe it doesn't work out in friction to a few, I like the idea of that. That could be quite fun. C Nation says Seth freaking Rollins has put some people over. Time for him to be rewarded for that. And this World Heavyweight Championship title reign can make up for his US title reign. I mean, obviously, I know you're a big Seth freaking Rollins fan. First off, is he going to be on Raw or SmackDown? Secondly, do you agree with this?
Since I think he's going to be the first world heavyweight champion, so I agree with C Nation Dog in the chat. I'm assuming he's going to have to go to Raw then if Roman Reigns is holding the belt over on the SmackDown. So, I'm going to say Seth Rollins stays on Monday Night Raw and he becomes the first world heavyweight champion.
I think there's certainly a possibility that could happen. I did predict that Seth would stay on Raw as well there in the predictions video earlier this week. So I
got to ask, where do you find the time to do all these videos? I've been checking out all the great content you got on the channel, man. It's just impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Sometimes if I get a spare bit of time, I will do the recording. I'm quite quick at artwork now. Like they used to take me forever to do. And now that doesn't take so long. That used to be the big chunk of it. But it's finding the time to record. Sometimes I've had some ideas for weeks and they don't come out until like about 3 or 4 weeks later. But with the draft, it's like, it's a period that it's one and done. So you've got to go for it there and then. So that's kind of a bit more extra time to put in than usual. But it can be a bit tough and grueling in places. But there is 1 or 2 videos that didn't make the cut, unfortunately, in time. But we are where we are.
It is what it is, right? Kudos to you regardless. You keep pumping out that content, man.
I appreciate the kind words, my friend. Ghost Spider says, Grayson Waller is not ready for the main roster. Just his opinion. You're entitled to our opinions. It's allowed to have it there, Ghost Spider. Thank you for sharing yours. C Nation says some people on Twitter are already tired of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Fans are so fickle. They are indeed very fickle. If that's the case, I mean, obviously the storyline now with the Usos and just the bloodline in general, for me, I do think it's got to a stage now where, you know, like with WWE 2K, the GM mode, where it's like this feud's on cooldown.
Was playing it just an hour ago, Steve. Yep.
Yeah, the feud's on cooldown. Like this is where now we need to move on to something else. But I do think that this one match here on SmackDown does present something where we can get a new twist of the storyline to make it tasty for Backlash. And then after Backlash, I really hope that we all go to a different direction. But I'm so not tired of Owens and Zayn. That seems crazy.
And I think the reason that some people might be tired with it is because everybody loves the chase. When the babyface is chasing those titles, it's a great story to tell. It's just once the baby faces are champion, everybody's like, okay, this is kind of boring. But Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are great. You got to give them a chance to have a couple-month reign, at least with these tag team titles.
I completely agree with you. They need to have time. And like you say, it's always more fun with not the Andre chase, but it's good with this babyface chasing.
I'm not saying it again. Don't worry.
But, I think fans need to be, like you said, can be a bit fickle. Give it time, give it patience. I think, especially when this draft is done, new feuds and stuff to work with as well could be a lot of fun. C Nation says Roman Reigns and Braun Breaker have similar careers. Both got booed as baby faces and had to turn heel. Seth Rollins and Carmelo have a similar wrestling style. So that's where those comparisons come from. C Nation. He said he saw these comparisons earlier on. Do you see what C Nation is seeing?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's not a bad thing to be compared to Roman Reigns. Look where he's at right now. So I think Braun Breaker will be okay.
I do as well. I think it's a very strong feature. Since he's turned heel as well, I think he's gone to another level. I'm excited to see where that character can go. Finn Balor isn't becoming the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. Vince McMahon won't let him become World Champion again, and I think he is in charge. C Nation, you're fair for having that opinion there about Vince McMahon. I live in hope that he's not, but he probably is. But with Finn Balor, I mean, obviously, he's not been in the world title scene for a very long time. The last time he did, he was pretty much dancing like a salmon on the outside as a demon. How would you see his future in the world title picture?
I think he's still deserving of being in the world title picture. Granted, I'm not sure if he is championship material, and I think the injuries do, have cause for concern here with Finn Balor. I mean, you want to have a champion that is going to be able to show up every single week, and he's also getting up there in age. I wouldn't be mad if he became champion, and I think he definitely. You have that story with Seth and Finn if you want to go into it right away for that world heavyweight title, which is what I would do personally, but. I mean, yeah, I still think Finn can be a main eventer. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I like Finn Balor. I've got nothing against him being towards the top. I just think the only issue you have is that, I mean, Judgment Day has been great, but they've not actually continued to present Finn to have that world title backup. He's seen as almost the leader of the guys, but Dom is the one that's got all the heat, and they've all worked together to get Dom that heat, and have done so well in doing so. Priest is having his Mania moment now with Puerto Rico, the Bad Bunny match, which should be quite fun and exciting. Balor is not really doing anything at the minute. And of course, when he was talking to Cody on Raw this past week, I was waiting for Cody to say, yeah, all the members of Judgment Day are doing all this stuff, but what are you doing? Like, so
yeah.
It's there.
And I think the thing is with the Judgment Day, everybody, like you were kind of alluding to, has been elevated in a way. I wouldn't say Finn Balor hasn't, but not getting that win against Edge at WrestleMania, I think is going to ultimately hurt him here. And granted, I mean, Edge probably deserved that moment, but I think it would have been more beneficial to have the Demon go over, because now I think the Demon character is basically dead. How can you bring that back after he just keeps getting losses now?
I agree wholeheartedly there. I think that it did definitely harm Finn. Finn, for me, is someone that can get there once again, but it's going to take a bit of work if they're going to do it.
For sure.
I think that's where we are with it at the moment. But C Nation says, after Roman Reigns loses the undisputed WWE Universal Championship, he should never win another championship. This 1K title reign is good enough. I mean, fair. I mean, like everyone's entitled to their opinion on it. For me, I'm not against it, but he should definitely not have a reign that's another 1,000 days after this.
I totally agree. I don't think we need another reign like he's saying. I wouldn't be against it, but yeah, definitely not as long as this one is for sure.
Absolutely. Roman Sammartino remains for the time being. Maxwell J. Freeman says, I hope that Lashley and Bronson Reed get drafted together to the same brand. I want a winner to their match. And I'm sure it ended in a no contest. Yeah, something like that. Double count out. Some nonsense finish it was. But yeah, I have a feeling that could be the case there because, I mean, weird enough, maybe Austin Theory stays on Raw. Because this is something that I haven't spoke about, but obviously Austin Theory's been thrown in a triple threat match at Backlash. And the draft, I think, is going to really heavy keep my prediction. Because if Theory goes over the SmackDown, I imagine he keeps the title if Gunther goes to Raw. But if Austin Theory stays on Raw, and then you have the US title and the IC title on Raw, and no mid-card title on SmackDown, if Lashley and Bronson Reed go over there, surely one of them two could be taking the title over to the Blue brand.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but I think you're 100% right. That's what makes the most sense for sure.
It could happen. And that way they could finish the feud with the US title in a one-on-one match. So we'll have to wait and see. You might get your wish, Max. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I don't think those two are done with each other.
Absolutely not. Where's your take with Lashley and Bronson Reed? Do you see him going to SmackDown? Do you reckon they'll stay on Raw?
That one's tough. I mean, personally, I'd like to see Lashley on SmackDown just because I think he needs a change of scenery. So if we really want to keep this feud going, I think it would make sense for, those two both to go to SmackDown. But another thing you got to put into consideration is SmackDown's a 2-hour show and Monday Night Raw is 3 hours. I don't think they're going to send as many people over to SmackDown that they should to Raw. At least that's my personal opinion. But I could see these two ended up on SmackDown just because, like he's saying, I think we need to get an actual finish between these two in singles competition.
Absolutely. And we need Wade Barrett to scream tsunami once again. It's been a while.
It's a great call.
It's been a while. C Nation says, if Cody Rhodes wins the World Heavyweight Championship, then people will start calling it the title for people who can't beat Roman Reigns. It's a fair point, and I think that's sad but true. Yeah. Max says, wouldn't you have a babyface winning Money in the Bank this year? But who? I almost wanted to go into the nudist style. I mean, a babyface could. I think that if someone UK or European based wins it, I think that they get the pop from that crowd, regardless whether they're face or heel.
This might be a wild card pick, but we saw rumors of Butch being repackaged once again to Pete Dunne. Could you see Pete Dunne as a Money in the Bank winner?
If I had to say, judging now, because of the fact he's not been booked that strongly in any way, I would say no. But I mean, if you were to present it to me and say he's going to come in at the draft, like Sheamus and what's his name? Rich Holland, poor Rich. Gets put on one show, and we just say Pete Dunne's called to the other show, not even Butch, just Pete Dunne's called to Raw. All of a sudden you can start pushing that guy differently. So, I mean, I think for the fact that it would be in the UK would be massive. And of course, the crowd would be well behind it. The problem is I think once you get back to overseas, get back to the States, if he's not booked strongly enough, it's great for the night. But I think it's that same thing what Cena said with Theory. What next? I think that's I suppose the whatever title could be next, but would people believe it?
Right, and they would definitely have to heat him up very fast after the draft because I believe they'd have a little over a month to build to Money in the Bank, which is possible. I just figured I'd throw it out there just because, it's a homegrown talent there for Money in the Bank.
Absolutely. Well, we can't rule anybody out at this stage, especially as we don't know who's going to be in it yet. But Pete Dunne, I just want to see Pete Dunne back. I'm not going to lie to you.
Don't we all, man? The Bruiserweight, man, that was so good.
He was awesome, man. C Nation says, I know the WWE Championship and Universal Championship is unified, but if you think about it, there is 3 world titles in WWE. Has that happened before? Not to my knowledge, unless you're counting like the WWE
or
WCW and ECW titles in there at the same time. But I mean, no, not really. He's technically right, and that's one of my other gripes with this. You've got 3 world titles on the 2 show.
Well, don't you think they'll probably unify Roman's titles, or at least I think they should?
They should, but I mean, this is where I have a slight issue with it because it will pain me if it has Universal in the title and not WWE Championship.
Right. No, I totally agree. But if they were to unify it, I don't know if you've seen like the gold belt that they've kind of mocked out there. That would be a pretty belt to add to Roman.
I haven't seen it. I would like to see it. Maybe it's something I need
to take
a
peek when you get a chance.
I will do some research after this show. Ghost Spider says Bronson Reed should win the United States Championship at Backlash, in my opinion. Ghost Spider, you could get your wish. We'll have to wait and see there. And we've got, of course, yes, rest in peace to Jerry Springer. Very sad news coming up today. Obviously done a lot of his talk show was massive in the States. Obviously big in the UK as well. Very sad and very surprised to see the news today. Thoughts are with his family at this difficult time. Edward says, Cade Rotolo, the new whatever champion in WWE. Can't say I'm familiar with that name. Am I missing something there?
I don't know that name either, so I apologize. I wouldn't be surprised if that's a indie talent or he's just making up somebody's name. Who knows?
Maybe it's someone that's an old indie name for someone that's come in now. Perhaps could be an
I'll try to Google it while you keep pulling up comments to see if I can find something.
Let's see if we can do. Edward, you've caught us out.
Exactly.
C-Nation says, what are they going to do with the Undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships now? Will they get split or will they really be combined into one? I also gave my take on this earlier on. C-Nation, if you missed it very quickly, I'll just say I reckon we get a double pin tomorrow with Sami, KO, and the Usos. I think there may be 2 referees that do it. I think it'll be a cliffhanger, lead to Raw. Sami and KO will be on Raw. The Usos will be on SmackDown. They'll split the titles. That's my feeling. Kyle, do you agree with it? Do you disagree? How do you see it playing out?
I totally agree. When I was watching earlier, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. I love that booking right there. But I do have information on this Cade fellow. He is an MMA fighter. He specials in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He is 5'11" and 20 years old. So maybe he threw that name into the hat now knowing that Endeavor has purchased WWE and maybe there's a little bit of a crossover there.
I like that. Well, to be fair, that would be also why I have not a clue. My MMA knowledge is unfortunately nowhere. It's not that great, Edward. We do apologize for that. But do you know what? It sounds like it's great up and coming. Like you say, Endeavor have their take now. Will they ever do crossover shows of any sorts like that in the future? Time will tell. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
And time's on his side then for Cade as well, if he's only 20 years old. Maxwell says Dakota Kai wins women's Money in the Bank, and a heel Drew McIntyre wins the men's. It seems to be a big shout there. Both have history in the UK. Absolutely do indeed there. Dakota Kai actually at one point was part of NXT UK as well.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That was like 6 years ago or something like that? Jeez.
Scarily, time goes too quickly.
It does.
Max says he gave his tickets Money in the Bank, but he'll be going to All In. And if we don't get Ospreay and Kenny Megan and Zack Sabre Jr. versus Danielson, I'll walk out and go to the Manchester Derby FA Cup final instead. Fair play, although I do think that I don't know if the matches will be announced by the time the FA Cup final happens, but I know that you have a very high invested interest in that cup final, and hope all goes well for you, Max, on that game. Yuka Crow will be singing Seth's theme, and your ears will burst. Absolutely.
I don't know if it'll be anything like it was at WrestleMania. I tell you what, hearing 80,000 people sing Seth Rollins' theme song was very special.
I can imagine that was definitely a great environment to be around at that time. And what was it, just quickly, I mean, because obviously I would love to talk to you about an hour about this. I could easily be so many questions. But what was your experience like at WrestleMania 39?
Surreal. I mean, it's cliche to say if you haven't gone to go because it'll change your life. That's 100% true. I mean, just walking to the stadium, it's a different energy. And I've been to numerous shows. I think I've been to all the big pay-per-views, Royal Rumble, SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Money in the Bank, you name it. I've been there, but this is just that next level. People call it the Super Bowl of wrestling. It definitely is. And just everybody in the crowd is into it. Every single match means something. And the production value is just insane to see in person, to see that stage and look all the way up. Because I'm in like the 200 levels, and to see people just in the nosebleeds, oh man, it's completely surreal. But yeah, I recommend if anybody can, and you obviously have to afford it because it's going to cost you a lot of money. I think I spent near $2,000 there that weekend, but it was completely worth it. You got to get to one WrestleMania in your life.
Absolutely, yeah. It's definitely on the bucket list at some point there, and it did look incredible. The scenery, the set, everything about it. It felt the production value was different level for this WrestleMania. They did a great job with it. You did stand and deliver as well, if I'm not mistaken, as well earlier in the day.
Yeah, that was rough just because it was 9 a.m. LA time. You could tell the crowd was a little tired, and I'm sure people went to indie shows Friday night or just flew in Friday night like myself. So we still got a couple adult beverages, and stand and deliver was okay, but it didn't feel like a takeover. And I've been to a few takeovers from back in the day, which, man, I miss those pay-per-views so much.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It feels like AEW shows these days, doesn't it? With the
exactly
that type of crowd, that type of fan base there. But no, I'm glad to hear an incredible experience there at WrestleMania weekend there. Ghost Wallet says, fun fact, Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker, only wrestlers who beat Gunther in WWE. You are on the money with that. It's very, very true. And Edward says, whomever can defend the title is the one who That's the one who gives you your best show. Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. That's what you want to see end of the day. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, what's your take on this? Obviously, that is pretty much facts there from Edward at this point.
Whomever that can defend the title is who to take them. Yeah. No, I think he's onto something there. I mean, logistically, that makes sense. But, with WWE, they don't always go with a logical decision. But I definitely think Edward's onto something there.
Absolutely, indeed. There, literally, I'm into what will be now the last 10 minutes of the show. So if we can get through as many comments as possible, Carl, are you able to do those 10 minutes? I know that you've got the NFL draft coming up very shortly as well. Are you able to do
I'm good for 10 minutes. Let's finish it off.
Let's do it. We're going to finish it in style for everybody here now. Sinishan says you're making the best prediction video. You literally do it for every major wrestling promotion. Thank you so much, Sinishan. It really, really does mean a lot there. I really, really, it's nice to get feedback like that. Thank you so much. I almost done. I had to reply to some comments like that. So thank you.
It's very humbling, isn't it?
It is. It's very. But the thing is, you do put a lot of work into it, so it's nice when you get that back there. So thank you, C Nation. That means a lot. Maxwell says Dragunov, Jordan Devlin, Tyler Bate to get drafted to Raw. Gunter's next challengers would be fun matches. I mean, obviously Gunter, can't have a bad match, can he? And he's had some great matches with Dragunov and Bate in the past.
That's something right there. I set up that lineup going to and to Dragunov maybe, and maybe Dragunov's the one to end the reign of Gunther after he breaks the record. I like that idea.
That does seem like a good idea indeed there. Let's not talk about GM mode. Apparently, Reggie versus Shanky is rated 5 stars. I have Ricochet versus Santos is pretty depressing. Does sound depressing. Sounds
like my GM mode. It's very random.
It is indeed. Braun Breaker versus Carmelaze should not be happening at Battleground. Just call Braun Breaker to the main roster. I think it's going to be exciting prospect. I mean, that spear on NXT this past week through what looked like cardboard, really, but still at the same time, the spear itself was bloody brutal.
NXT in general had like a different vibe to it. It felt like the Raw after WrestleMania. It just seemed like everybody was trying to make a statement. And like you talked about earlier, now that Braun Breaker is leaning into this heel side, I think this is exactly what he needed because he looks like a legitimate badass.
Absolutely different level altogether there. C Nation saying Rhea Ripley, the leader of Judgment Day. I would agree with that. When I said Finn Balor earlier on, I meant of the guys. That's kind of what I was referring to. But yeah, Rhea is definitely the top one. To be fair, she's beating up all the guys as well. Nubico says, I would like to see Asuka pair up with Iyo Sky just so the fans can enjoy seeing them go after the women's tag team titles. And I think Asuka with a non-title feud or storyline this year. I mean, for me personally, I'm waiting to see the match up against each other. I don't remember that promo battle off on Raw in Japanese was awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I'm ready for the tag team quite yet, maybe down the line, but I want to see more of this edgier side of Asuka. We obviously haven't seen her, I think, since WrestleMania, right? I don't think she's been on TV since Mania. So let's bring her back and see a little bit more of what she can do with this new character in the singles competition.
Absolutely. Let's hope so. I would like to see it as well. Then I think she'll be going to SmackDown when she does return. Rhea Ripley versus Iyo Sky for the SmackDown Women's Championship at SummerSlam. That would be a great match.
Holy hell. Yeah, that would be something. I just don't know if Iyo could earn that title if she were to lose, or that title opportunity, I should say, if she were to lose to Bianca, because I don't see Iyo beating Rhea. And you're really going to have Iyo have 2 title matches in the matter of a couple months and lose them both? I don't think I would like that. But the match itself would be great.
It would be awesome indeed there. Maxwell says, Roderick Strong's AEW debut was a nice surprise. Didn't see it coming. His theme has to be the best one out there. I may be biased, but my favorite band is Killswitch Engage, and they are an awesome band indeed there. I must admit, I haven't seen it yet, but I did see the spoilers on the internet today about Roderick Strong, AEW debut. It was a nice surprise, wasn't it, to see him come back in and make the save for Adam Cole, I believe, a couple of other superstars as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember too. I watched it live, but I think the cool thing about Roddy showing up in AEW is there was no talk about it whatsoever. I personally thought he was still with the WWE. So can we get more of that, please? Like, I'm tired of the Sean Ross apps in the world, and I respect what he does. I hate for calling out his name, but he's the biggest, name out there. There's other insiders and people that write. We don't need to leak every single detail. And this is a perfect example because listen to that reaction he got. I saw on my Twitter feed people were enjoying it, and it was a perfect storm. It made sense because of their Undisputed Era ties.
Absolutely. It's like a throwback to back like WWE, WCW days in the 90s. You didn't know what was going to happen from Monday to Monday. Nowadays, don't you say, we get a lot of the stuff leaked to us. So, yeah, exciting stuff and great to see Roddy. I'm sure he's very happy in AEW. So good.
Of course. His wife's there, too.
Absolutely, yes. There's lots of ties there for him. Lashley or Bronson Reed versus Gunther. My God, yeah, that would be
anybody versus Gunther. I know we say it all the time, but just put anybody against him. It's going to be great.
I think so. I think so at this point. If Seth Rollins wins the World Heavyweight Championship, people won't call it the belt for the people who can't beat Roman Reigns because Seth Rollins has a lot in the past. He has. In fact, Roman hasn't beat Rollins. So there actually is something about it. Or certainly not in when WWE wants you to remember it anyway.
Exactly. And I think Rollins would just keep taking jabs at Roman as World Heavyweight Champion. It would be good stuff.
It would be indeed there. Leo, kicking it with Leo, says, how would you feel if Dana Brooke won the women's Money in the Bank ladder match this year? I like Dana, but I just don't see it.
I don't see the star power in Dana Brooke. I think she's a solid hand to have, maybe a tag team champion, but no, I don't see it either, Steve.
I think NXT would be good for her right now. I really do.
Yeah.
We're talking about people with the injuries.
Look at Mandy.
There. Yeah, absolutely. I think Brooke could do some wonders down there. Could really reinvent herself. She's good in ring. She just needs something just to be remembered to be on TV every week. Seriously, to feel bad for Seth Rollins. He's about to have his first bad match in his career against Omos. Do you know what? I think that we're about to see Omos's best match in his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, there's no build to it, but if anybody can bring out a good match in someone, it's Seth Rollins.
That's usually the way it does come out, to be fair there. And also, Cody Rhodes will be the one to unify the undisputed WWE Championships into one. And he will retire the Universal Championship, and the Universal Championship would have a short history, but it went out with a bang. I mean, that would be the best way to do it. I mean, that's earlier when I said that's what I want with the Universal Championship, is for it to be retired after Roman loses it, because I've never been a fan of that title. I mean, Cody to be the one to do that would be quite fun to bring back the WWE Championship solo, but we'll have to wait and see. I suppose there's a lot of hypotheticals at this stage. Fun fact, Kevin Owens just needs the WWE Championship to win a Grand Slam title in WWE. Interesting.
Let's make it happen. I'm here for that, for sure.
Well, and now he's going to need a World Heavyweight title as well, though, in a few weeks. But
true.
WWE keep changing the game, don't they?
Exactly.
Sinister also hopes to go to WrestleMania one day. Kicking it, Leo says he's going to be going to WrestleMania 40. Good on you. Good on you, Leo.
My co-host Tucky's trying to get me to go because he got the approval from his wife, but I just don't know if I can do 2 years in a row because I used to go to Las Vegas every March for college basketball, March Madness, the big tournament going on here in the States, and I kind of miss Vegas a little bit. Like, I did my WrestleMania, I had my moment, but I think it's time to return to Vegas. So I'll enjoy it in Philadelphia because I think WrestleMania 40 is going to be a huge show.
Absolutely, indeed. I hope you enjoy WrestleMania 40. And Kyle, when you do, $20, 15 black. Ghost Spider, that's a Friends reference for anyone. Ghost Spider says 2003, if Street Profits get split up in the draft, then Montez will be the breakout star, and Angelo Dawkins will be lost in the shuffle. I talked about this on my predictions, actually, and I don't think Dawkins will be lost in the show. I think he's good enough to get TV time still, and it could be the best way to break up the profits of this stage if you're going to do it.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what they were doing recently with Dawkins is giving him those singles matches to shine. And I think he did just that. I mean, look at that WrestleMania Showcase tag team match. His shoulder tackle to Braun Strowman. I think it was to Braun, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh, so impressive. I'm just being hopeful. I agree with you. I don't think Angelo Dawkins will get lost in the shuffle.
I think if they do break them up as well, they'll make sure that both guys have plans to keep them going because they both have in place.
Exactly.
So I'm hoping that will be the case. Agreed. But you could be right, Ghost Spider, but I hope you're wrong. It's crazy that we predicted Gunther so much. They booked him well. That's pretty much what it is.
The ring is sacred. That's what it is.
Absolutely. Dad's asking when Randy is back. I've got no idea, but hopefully soon. He's still injured at the moment with this back injury. The word rumors he had surgery again and could be out for a while. So let's hope. I guess it's not too long in the future. Health is the most important. Fun fact as well, Bron Breakker has only lost 3 singles matches, one against Tommaso Ciampa, one against Dolph Ziggler, and one against Carmelo Hayes. Shame that one of them was against Dolph Ziggler.
Hey, come on. I enjoyed the brief Dolph Ziggler run there. It obviously didn't help him on the main roster afterwards, but for that time, I think it was okay.
It was okay. I do like Dolph Ziggler. It's just unfortunate that his booking recently isn't as good as it was previous. Station says there's an issue. They protect Bron Breakker at Battleground. Carmelo Hayes is a babyface, so Trick Williams can cheat and Carmelo Hayes can't lose. His reign just got started. Potentially, but what if there's a reason they've gone with Battleground? I see the cage on that logo. Is something special going with Battleground?
Maybe you're onto something there. I didn't even consider that as well. I haven't even seen the logo, so Yeah.
I believe there's some cage around that, and I wondered if they're going to bring something new. Just wondered.
Maybe they are. Okay. Maybe the fight pit or something like that. I don't know.
Could work. It's with a cage. You only have to escape the cage. You haven't got to pin the guy. So that could work. Roderick Strong being on Dark in 1 month. Let's hope not.
Probably though.
It could happen. And people say Roderick Strong will end up on Dark. On the ones that see Mustafa Ali on main event. Just saying. Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe for the ROH TV title. Roddy is a must for ROH. Have you seen much ROH?
No, it hasn't fit into my schedule. I know we've talked about it before. There's just so much wrestling to keep up with, and I believe they run their shows on Thursday, and you have to pay for it. I just can't commit to something like that. But it seems like they are building themselves quite the brand with ROH.
Yeah, it looks like they're putting a lot of effort into it, which is quite nice to see. I must admit, I've not had too much time, but from what I've seen of it, I do like the way they've set it up. It looks pretty cool. Fun fact: Roman Reigns has beat Seth Rollins in the past, but it was a non-title match. WWE only should mention he hasn't beat Seth Rollins in title matches. There we go, kicking in for us then. Last couple of comments, then we will wrap it up then after these last 3. So no more comments in, please. Try and wrap up as quick as we can. We've done that one. We've done that one. So we will do this one then. Do you think Liv should turn heel and join the Judgment Day? For me, no. I like Liv Morgan as the babyface.
I think we're starting to get something with Liv and Raquel. I think I like the pairing. You can tell they got some chemistry. I watched them on WWE's The Bump on last Wednesday, and I think I like what I'm seeing with Liv right now. Maybe down the road if Judgment Day is still a thing, but I agree with you. I don't think so.
Absolutely not. And to be fair, Liv Morgan is on the thumbnail here today. So, I mean, where is she? Is she staying on SmackDown or is she going to Raw?
Well, I'll tell you what, she's probably going where Raquel goes. I'll say they go to Raw. I really don't have a good educated guess. I'm just going to have them go to Raw.
I kept them on the same brand just because as their champions, they can be on both. And I do think that eventually they'll lose the titles to Ronda and Shayna. And I think that that's kind of they'll go on both to keep those people
Changing
happy.
My answer. I agree with Steve.
Yeah. We'll see what happens, but I don't want to see Liv join the Judgment Day personally. No. And C Nation doesn't watch ROH too much wrestling. Totally agree. You need to have a break here and there. I totally agree. Almost and Braun Strowman, if booked, gave them a character, they would actually be half decent. Look at Braun 2017. Really enjoyed that Braun and kind of stopped his momentum. Absolutely. When they brought Nicholas in, I think that's when it did change for Braun a little bit and the booking offers. But yeah, I enjoyed that Braun Strowman as well. Almost if they just let Almost be Almost, I think would be the best way as well.
And have Almost win a match here and there. That might help him as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that one there. Well, that's pretty much all the comments there. And last one is a fun fact there. Seth Rollins wins the World Heavyweight title. Could be the first person to have been WWE World Heavyweight, Universal, and NXT champion. Fun facts indeed. And last comment then, Cameron Cross and Scarlett to Raw. It seemed like the NXT days versus Seth Rollins. That could be a fun program. Don't know about the World Heavyweight title. Cross these building for me.
Yeah, he would definitely need to be built up a little bit more. But if you do build him in maybe late fall, early winter, I could see that being a world title feud for sure.
Yeah, if you do it in fall, that could work definitely there. And obviously Judgment Day against KO and Sami, sign me up. That sounds like a good feud as well. That's all we've got time for, though, on the comments. So just before we go, Kyle, just quickly, any superstars we've not mentioned that you want to see moved in the draft?
Whew. You know what? I joined this live stream late, so I didn't have any prep here. So it might be harder for me. Do you have any names that haven't been brought up? Maybe I'll jog my memory a little bit.
I mean, one that I thought about earlier on is Bayley. I think she needs a move.
Yeah, Bayley needs a change of scenery. I would definitely agree with you there. I'm to be completely honest with you, I'm blanking. It's been a long day, so I can't give you an answer right now. I'm sorry, bro. And
to be fair, we've got so many drafts going on. We've got the W draft tomorrow. We've got it on Monday as well. But you've got an NFL draft coming up as well.
An hour and 15 minutes, yeah.
It's an exciting time indeed there. And I'm going to say this is where we're going to wrap up, ladies and gentlemen. If you've enjoyed this video, then please do like the video as well. It really helps the channel out. Really, really does. For anyone that does content creation, helps the channel out more than you can imagine. Comment as well if you can. Share with a friend and subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Those are the 4 key ingredients to help a YouTube channel out. And of course, I know it's boring, I say it every time, but hey, every little helps, and I appreciate everyone that continues the support of this channel. A big thank you to Tino, who was on with us earlier, and Kyle, Mr. OTM, not just OTM, Mr. OTM. Thank you so much for coming and jumping in as well.
Yeah, no problem. I love coming here to join you for the live stream. Your interaction that you get on these videos is impressive. I'm aspiring to be like Steve one day, people. So if we do this together, maybe one day I'll get there. But yeah, thanks again for having me hop on one of your streams.
Absolutely. Well, you're always welcome, my friend. And Leo, I know that you've joined in as well. I'll give you a message, my friend. We'll sort you out something where you can come on these streams in the future as well, because definitely it's all about having fun.
I love that comment from Maxwell. Can you pull that up?
I can do that indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Where's the photo? Look at that signed Johnny picture right there. That NXT title signed by Johnny. Yeah. Sign me up.
Yeah,
sign me up.
That would be awesome to see. And we need Karrion Kross from NXT back. Yeah, definitely not the one with the gimp mask. But that's all from us anyway. Thank you all for watching. Big thank you to Tina and to Karl for joining us. Thank you all of you for watching as well. Enjoy the WWE draft. If you haven't seen videos that have been put on this channel from me this week, go and check them out. There's loads of draft related stuff to keep you entertained over the next 24 hours. Enjoy the WWE draft. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the NFL draft if you're watching it. Have yourselves a good one. See you next time.